Hey guys, Jonathan here at Shadow Foam, and today we're going to be looking at the DeWalt Toughsystem and showing you guys the ultimate way to get this system organised. Now we sell Shadow Foam liners for the entire Toughsystem 1 and Toughsystem 2 range, but in this video we're not going to be looking at the Toughsystem 1, so we'll get that one out of the way. We're going to be working with the Toughsystem 2. Now with the Toughsystem 2 we've got the compact organiser, we've got the roll box and the different depth height normal boxes. We've also got the full size organiser, and we've got the drawers, and we've got the brand new DeWalt trays, and we have inserts to slot in these as well. So now we've got all the Toughsystem boxes, we just need a load of tools, starting with an impact driver and a drill. A circular saw and a full-size circular saw, a planer and an SDS drill, a multi-tool and the DeWalt heat gun. We've got a jigsaw and a torch. We've also got a laser level, and we've got, lastly, a couple of chargers and some batteries. Right, so we've got all the power tools. The only thing we're missing now is some Shadow Foam inserts to go in the cases. So shadowfoam.com has every single insert in all the different colours, all the different sizes. Fortunately, we've got them all right here. So let's get cutting some foam. So where do you start when it comes to organising this amount of power tools? Well, there are two methods. For me, I'm going to be going with the most complicated foam cutting first, which is the circular saw, which is going to be going in the base box. But if you're new to cutting foam, I'd suggest starting with the easiest piece of foam cutting, which would be something like the combi drill and the impactor. So the other thing we need to do before cutting any of the foam is working out which power tools are going in which box. So we're going to do that first. Right, so the first thing we need to do is set up this toolbox in the way that we're actually going to use it. You know, we want to be able to roll this stack around with all of these tools in. We don't want the stack up here if we can help it. We want it to be a comfortable height. So we're going to take this off and we're going to go with the base box. And then in here, we'll be putting a couple of layers of foam in the bottom, and then we'll have a tray. And what we'll be putting in here is the biggest tools and the ones that we're using the least often. So for me, it's going to be the circular saw and it's going to be the planer. But on top of that, we'll add the deep tray. We'll probably try and put tools in there that are of the same category. So possibly that's going to be a bit of a squeeze. We might put that in the box above. That's the hand circular saw. So we might go for the multi-tool, possibly. Then we're going to go with the drawers, because the drawers you want to be able to access without lifting them off, which is nice. So we may as well have them low down. And in the drawers, we're going to be putting definitely the jigsaw. That fits in there great. And then we are going to be putting in the SDS. And I think the heat gun works with that. Yeah, we've already done a little bit of this scoping out beforehand, and they fit in there just nice. So we've got dead quick access to this little compact SDS and the heat gun. On top of that, we're going to be putting the next size of Toughsystem box. And in here we'll go the other tray. To be fair, we might go for the size down actually. To keep this a nice modest height, we don't need all three of them. So we'll go for the next size down. So I think when it comes to tools in that one, we'll put the circular saw, the little handheld circular saw, and we'll put the multi-tool. And in the tray area, we'll come back to that because we've got some smaller items like the torch and the level, the laser level, which I love. And you want that somewhere where you can get to it, but you're not using it all the time, just like the torch really. Now the top box is the one that you're going in the most often. It's the easiest to access. So in there, we definitely want the two most used tools, which is the combi drill and the impactor. And when you've got a combi drill and impactor, you definitely need drill bits. We've also got some easy outs, which we're going to put in there too. And left, we've got batteries and chargers. We'll probably try and get a charger in the top. So we've got one really easy to get your hands on. And then the other ones, we might kind of lose them into the trays, but that is the first part of the task. Figuring out how much space you need and where the stuff's going. Next part of the job is cutting the foam. So we could start with the top section. If I was probably doing this as a first timer, I'd start with something like the top where it's nice and easy. But for us, and we know we have been asked this question, how do you cut a circular saw in foam? That's the trickier part. So we're going to start with that. So let's get the foam for the base box and let's get cutting. Right, so let's start with the base box. Obviously this is a complicated insert. I've already got one of my cut-proof gloves on my left hand, which is the hand that I hold the items with, and I've got my scalpel with a blade in. We want to go for 2 layers so they can sit down flush into the foam. Although 1 layer would work, just depends how you want the circular saw to be set. So for me, a tool like this, you've got 2 options. You can kind of loosen it and you can have it flat down like that, and that's going to be less height depending on what box you've got, or you can have it stood tall. Now, the way that this box is, it's really deep. Even with the tray in it, we've still got loads of height. So I'm gonna set it like that with the blade all the way up, and that way I can just draw around this base plate. And realistically, I think we might only need one of the layers, but we're gonna see how deep it sits in the tray. So I'm gonna set that where I want it, which is about there. And then on the other side, we've got the planer. So it's the two big, very joinery based. If I'm gonna need one, I'm probably gonna need the other one. So we're putting them in the same category. And it's as simple as taking the knife, holding the tool so it doesn't move, and then just trace cutting around the item. We don't have to cut too deep at this point. We're just literally using it like a pencil, making sure it's square to the foam or perpendicular to the foam, and just tracing around that plate there to get a stenciled outline essentially. Once we've gone all the way around and we're back to the start, and we know that we've met up with the starting point, we can then take the tool out of the way, set that to one side. We'll also take the planer out of the way, and now we can go back and make this cut a lot deeper. So what we'll do is, we'll cut down, this is a 50mm liner, and we'll cut down about 40mm. And that'll give us a nice kind of deep recess to house the circular saw, and we'll be able to test fit it and see if one insert's going to be enough. Now, if it's not, we can always cut straight through this one and then cut in the lower layers. But there we go, so I've cut all the way around, and all I have to do is just push my fingers down the side of the cut. Starting usually at a corner is the easiest place to start, and you're just forcing the foam back. Takes a little bit of finger strength and a little bit of force. You just chase the material along. You're not peeling it at one end and peeling it back, you're kind of following it along with your fingers. And you can see if you do that, you will get a relatively flat peel. Now, you're not going to get a perfectly flat peel, because it's just not the nature of foam as a material. It'll tear on its weakest seam, so it might not be perfectly flat, but we can tidy that up later. So there's techniques. We've got other videos on our channel that will show you how to get the perfectly flat, smooth bottom. My bottom. But we're not going to spend time doing a smooth bottom right now. We're just going to peel the foam out and give you a rough idea of what it'll look like, the finished look. So we can see we've peeled that back now, that's deep enough. I'm going to just use the blade just to skim. We've got a little bit there that's a little bit higher than the rest, so we'll just make a slight incision underneath. This will just help us lift that material out. But for now, I'm pretty happy with that. We've managed to get a pretty smooth job just with the blade. And now if we try the circular saw in there, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. For my needs, that's going to hold it snug. It's not going to bounce around in the case. And now we've got a nice spot for the planer. So we'll put the planer in, and then we'll test fit it in the box. Let's give it a test fit. Yeah, perfect. I'm really happy with that. Let's chuck it in the box and see what it looks like. Right, so I'm really happy with that. You can get the circular saw and the planer out nice and easy. You can grab the handles. One sad thing is the deep tray doesn't fit now. It's about 30mm too tall with the circular saw like that, but I would prefer to keep the circular saw like that because it lifts in and out so easily. So what we'll do is we'll put the shallow tray in there, and actually it does make sense. The torch is something you hardly ever use unless you really need it, and the laser level, there's certain jobs you can't do without it, but then I don't use it very often, so it can go in the base tray, and there's still a bit of space there for something in the future. So on to the next box, which is the other big Toughsystem. So we'll get this one out of the way. And we're now going to move on to the standard Toughsystem Toolbox. This one is going to have the handheld circular saw, the compact circular saw, and the multi-tool. So it's the same situation. We're going to lay them out where we want them and then cut round them. Right, so we finished that one off, and that has turned out really nicely. Didn't take more than 10 minutes, I'd reckon. And that's the compact circular saw multi-tool in place. So I'll just chuck those in. And that's coming together. We've still got loads of space in there for other bits and bobs. I mean, the multi-tool, you have a whole kind of plethora of multi-tool attachments, don't you, that go with that. We could cut all of those in. I mean, I bought all of these in a bit of a job lot, so we don't have any attachments to go with that. But for now, we'll just leave it like that. We've got the two in there. And next thing, we're going to move on to the trays. So we're going to be having the deep tray in that top box that I've just done, and then we'll put in the shallow tray in the rolling box. We haven't got a layout sorted for this yet, so I'm going to have a look at that. I'm thinking of putting batteries in there, because that way we've got all the extra batteries and the extra charger in that top box, which is a bit more accessible. And then we'll put the shallow tray in the bottom with these in. So yeah, let's get cutting this lot. So that's that one done, and I'm really happy with how that one's turned out as well. I think these trays are fantastic. They're a great addition to these toolboxes. The problem with these Toughsystems is they're just a big cavity. They're like a big bucket. So if you don't have a tray, you don't have foam in them, you end up just piling all the tools in there loose. And they kind of like look like what they look like on this table. Just a big old pile of tools. It's hard to find what you need. They're all clunking and banging into each other. So the trays are great, and obviously the tray inserts and the foam inserts are fantastic. But we'll move on to the next liner now. And with this one, we're going to be organising the deep tray, and we're going to be adding a 30mm base layer. And that is because we're going to be putting batteries in foam. And for these, as they're so deep, we're going to be cutting all the way through. So we're not cutting and peeling back layers of foam with this insert. We're going to be cutting all the way through this, and then we're going to be gluing it to the base layer. And that'll give us an 80mm liner, which can sit inside this deep tray. So what do we do? The exact same as before. The same process of cutting around the item lightly, scoring around it, but then we just cut all the way through the foam. And what we don't want to do, the big thing here is when you cut the pieces of material out, keep them in order. Don't throw them away. You're going to need them to glue the two pieces together. So let's get a layout sorted, and then let's start cutting. Right, so we've cut all the way through the 4 batteries, because obviously they're really deep, and we've cut the charger in. We've also cut a recess for the wire underneath the charger. We basically just put a bit of space there for the wire to sit, and then a separate space for the plug, because obviously we want to make sure those 3 prongs aren't digging into anything. So now we want to glue this to the 30mm layer, so we end up with a really nice looking liner. So to do that, all we do is we get some of our spray glue, and we put the little inserts that we've cut out back in. So I hope you saved them. We stick them back in, and they work like masking tape. Rather than having to mask off anything, we can just stick those back in, and that way we don't get any overspray in the inserts. And then all we have to do is just add the spray. Now you might want to do this over a bit of newspaper. I do this quite often, so I'm just going to do it freehand. I want to spray a bit on that, and then we want to let it go tacky. And then we're going to spray a little bit on the other side. Now on the other side, we've got to be a bit careful, because we don't glue on the bottom of where these batteries are. So I'm only going to put a little bit around the edge, and then right in the middle where the charger is. So we're going to put a little bit of spray in the middle, and I'm going to put a little bit around the sides. It's the sides that we want to stick, really. They're the bits that there's a bit of risk. So we're going to let that go tacky as well. Actually, while that's going tacky, we can push these pieces out, because we know that's done now. And we now know we've definitely not got any overspray into those recesses that we've put for the batteries. And now we can let those go tacky for a second, and then we'll bond the two together.
A few minutes later.
Right, so they've gone a bit tacky now, both sides, so we can push these two together. So you can see already, as soon as you touch the two together, they just start grabbing, which is exactly what you want. And that's it. Flip it over, push it a bit on the back. It doesn't really need too much, to be honest. And then that is a finished 80mm liner. So we'll stick that in the tray. And that looks great. So let's put the batteries in, and then we can move on to the last couple of liners. So we've still got the drawer inserts to do, and we've got the top box. The inserts for those are the exact same. We have inserts that fit directly into those cases, but I think we've cut enough foam now, and we've explained the process. So what we'll do is we'll cut all of those 3 liners at the same time, and we'll come back to you when we've done them all, and then we'll talk you through the full setup and how we've organised everything. So that's that one done. I'm happy with both those trays. We'll chuck them in the cases, and yeah, let's move on to the drawers and the top box. Right, so that's all of the liners cut. We've done all 7, and I'm really happy with them. It took about 2.5 hours, I reckon, maybe a touch more. We've laid them all out like this because it really does show how good these foam liners look. But all of these tools are now protected. You know exactly where they are. If something goes missing, or if you leave something on a job site, You're going to know instantly that it's not there and you've not replaced it. And also you're going to know exactly where it is when you need it. You're going to be able to go straight in the box. It's going to be there ready for you. There's a few gaps in the foam, so we'll be able to go back and add little bits and bobs. Obviously you can see with the heat gun, we've got a few accessories that we added that came with the heat gun. We've got some jigsaw bits with the jigsaw. We've got some drill bits and stuff, but there's loads of extra little bits and bobs of space that we could fill with some of the other accessories. But yeah, so that's all the liners cut. Let's put them all in the box. Right, that's that one in. Let's put all the other liners in. So that is the best way and the most efficient way to organise the DeWalt Toughsystem range of toolboxes. And we have inserts for every single one of these boxes available on the website, including the full width organiser and the compact organiser that the Toughsystem 2 has. So if you're planning on getting your Toughsystem organised with some shadow foam, or you've already done so, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I do read every single message. And if you've already done it, share us a picture on Instagram. We'd love to see how it's turned out, your toolbox, and we'll probably reshare your pictures as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching. If you did, it would really help us out if you click the like button and you subscribe to the channel. And if you click the bell icon, you won't miss any of our future videos because we do upload every week. So we'll see you next time.